So today I'm going to be reviewing the Samsung Galaxy Tab S11. Let's get right into it. So this year with our Samsung Galaxy tablets, we do have two different models, the Tab S11 and the Tab S11 Ultra. Last year, we only had a Tab S10 Plus and a Tab S10 Ultra. We didn't have the smaller 11-inch device here like we have with the Tab S11. So some of you have been waiting around ever since the Tab S9 for an upgrade. And if you have a Tab S9 or a Tab S8 or something a little bit older, I do think you're going to be very pleased with a lot of the upgrades we see this year. You are going to see higher brightness. You will see up to 1600 nits of brightness. And in high brightness mode, it gets up to like 1000 nits, but that is much improved over the Tab S10 Plus, and it is improved over the Tab S9. So that brightness means a lot better visibility outdoors, and even bringing your tablet around. I know a lot of people will really appreciate much brighter screens this year. We also do get 12 gigabytes of RAM in the base model. We still have a micro SD card, so if you look at the design will look very similar, and there is a lot to love about the design and a lot to love about the Tab S11. Even the MediaTek processor, the 9400 Plus, it is going to be an improvement by a decent margin over the Snapdragon processor in the Tab S9. Now I do want to mention price because the retail price is $799 for this tablet. Of course, they are offering more storage, at least at the launch, 256 gigs for that price. Plus, we have a lot of great Samsung trade-in deals. But a little bit later, you will see a 128 gigabyte model pop up, and you will have to pay a little bit more for that 256 gigs of storage. But if you look at the design, you will notice one other change that is a little bit alarming, and it might alarm some of you, and that is going to be with the S Pen. Normally you would have a spot on the back of the tablet to charge your S Pen, but there is no charging of your S Pen this year because the S Pen does not have Bluetooth functionality. For me, it's not really a big deal. Bluetooth on your S Pen, it just means that you could take photos if you're away from your tablet with the S Pen actually being a shutter button for you. Maybe you advance PowerPoint slides or do something like that. And for people like that, I know you might be disappointed. And if you are, you might want to just pick up the Tab S10 Plus or the Tab S10 Ultra, and those might be really good buys right now, especially if you find them on sale. But I don't just want to harp on those things and then just say these tablets aren't good, because the Tab S11 is really, really good. It might not be the device you run to upgrade to if you have a Tab S10 Plus or a Tab S10 Ultra. I completely get why those people might not want to upgrade this year, because there are some things that are better than last year and some things that aren't quite as good. So the Tab S11 series, at least the base model, it does not have an anti-reflective screen. You only see that on the Tab S11 Ultra. But if you want a smaller form factor, if you want something that's improved over the Tab S9, the Tab S11 does have a lot of improvements. With that brighter screen, it makes a massive difference, and the screen does look so good if we look at the display. It is absolutely tremendous. Of course, we also get a lighter tablet whenever you're comparing it to the Tab S9, so it is a little bit lighter and easier to hold. It's a little bit thinner, of course. And even though the screen isn't anti-reflective, it does still look so good for your content day to day. And it will definitely be a big improvement over the Tab S9 screen, even though it's not going to be substantial because both devices both have AMOLED displays and they do have good resolutions. It's still a good jump up overall. Now, if you look at performance, I know some people are so used to Snapdragon, of course. So the Tab S9 did have a Snapdragon processor. We don't see that in this device here. It's a MediaTek 9400 Plus. But we do get 12 gigabytes of RAM. You don't have to buy an upgraded model to get that. So that is good news. And performance is so good on this device. It does flow through everything I'm doing with no problem. Even video editing was much better this year than on previous years. So we are going to see increases in the CPU performance, even in GPU performance. Now I know some things like emulation, for example, or maybe gaming, maybe you played a game that was optimized for Snapdragon. I do understand that, but whenever you look at raw power and even processor efficiency, the Tab S11 is going to be better than the Tab S9. There is no question about it. So of course you might find one thing that's just optimized a little better for the Tab S9, but I was able to game no problem on my Tab S11. I was able to push it to the limit, and even with emulation has been working good for me. Of course, I'm talking PS2 level or GameCube level, but I've been able to do a good job as far as emulation, and the performance has been really good for me and fairly stable overall. Now we do also have to talk about Samsung DeX because it's really changing in a big way. You see, Google has decided to bring a desktop mode to their smartphones and to other devices out there, and it's a desktop mode that is going to be similar to Samsung DeX. So instead of Samsung just having their own thing entirely and Google having their own thing, they decided to work together and really bring Samsung DeX features to other devices, but Google also wanted Samsung to build up their Samsung DeX features based on what Android was doing with their software. So even though we are seeing less features with Samsung DeX right out of the gate, this is actually good news for owners of Samsung tablets because in the long run, I do expect more updates to Samsung DeX, and I do think it's going to be a lot better than it's been in the past. And that is not coping, that is just reality, because instead of Samsung building their entire software on their own, now Google and Samsung can work together, and that is really, really good. So if you do swipe down from the top of your tablet, you are going to be able to open Samsung DeX. Now this is the tablet version of DeX. If you do actually connect your tablet to a monitor, well then it's going to be an extended desktop where your desktop will have the different version of DeX, right? So if you want DeX like it used to be, it's still going to be a little bit different, but you will have to connect a monitor to get that. Otherwise, you're going to be able to open up multiple desktops, and to get out of DeX, you really just bring up your recent apps, and then it will show your desktops, and if you want to get out of that DeX mode entirely, just swipe over to the left or go to the left where all of the apps are at, and you're going to be able to go over there to get out of DeX no problem. Now, we do still get 7 years of operating system updates, so that is a massive deal, especially if you're coming from a Tab S9 or a Tab S8, because you are going to get a lot more support on this device. And now the battery size has improved as well. We now have 8,400 milliamps in the battery size. So you are going to see better battery life here because the processor is more efficient, but also you are actually getting that bigger size. Combine that together, and I have had a great experience as far as the battery life. It is definitely improved over the Tab S9, and I have seen great improvements even over the Tab S8 in previous devices. So the battery life has been super good. Obviously, it depends on what you are doing with your tablet day to day, but I've been able to game and get a lot of great work done, and this tablet has been lasting me a very, very long time. Now, there is one downgrade to the battery that we have to talk about, and that is the amount of charge cycles that the battery is rated for. If you charge your device like once a day, to give you an idea, and you take it through all of your charge cycles, the Tab S11 is rated to be around 80% of battery life, a little bit after 3 years of usage. Technically, it's 1,200 cycles that it's rated for to keep the battery above 80%. But if you look at something like the Tab S10 Plus, it was actually rated for 2,000 battery cycles. So we are starting with more battery capacity, but then our batteries might wear down a little bit quicker. So I would say the longevity of your battery between the Tab S11 and the Tab S9, it will probably be fairly similar. Not to mention we do have more optimization as far as the processing speed and as far as how that affects the battery life. So your battery life's going to be a little bit better. You might have to charge a little bit less. So I would say most of that will even out. So we do have to talk about the S Pen because the S Pen experience is a little bit different. They did actually change the tips of the S Pens because they wanted them to be a little more durable. So they're not going to be quite as loose as previous generations. So it is going to feel a little bit different whenever you are drawing on the screen. But I will say I do like the S Pen overall. I like how it feels in my hands a little bit more than the previous S Pen. But the one thing I don't like is, of course, where I'm going to store it, because I would like a case to be able to cover it up on the back of my tablet. I don't like keeping it on the top, but that's just what Samsung decided to do. On the other end, even though we don't have Bluetooth, drawing with the S Pen and actually using it for note-taking, it is a breeze, it works great, and I really do like it. So even though there's a minor downgrade here as far as no Bluetooth and where I do put the stylus, I do still enjoy the stylus experience here, and it's a pretty good S Pen. As far as extra little features go, you need to know that this does have a fingerprint sensor in the screen. It works very, very fast. Of course, you could also use Face Unlock, but the fingerprint sensor has been good enough for me. It's pretty quick. We still get 45-watt charging speeds, so that isn't any different. The speakers are still really, really good. Of course, we still have that SD card slot, which is a big deal. We still have an IP68 rating here, so we do get water and dust resistance. And it's a 16:10 aspect ratio on the screen, 274 ppi. So I could read off specs all day. But the bottom line is, if I'm looking at the Tab S11 and I'm comparing it to the Tab S9, it is a definite upgrade. Some people who really loved a Bluetooth S Pen, they're going to be so mad that they're going to throw their hands up in the air and they may never want to upgrade again. I do understand why some people would be frustrated with some of those things. Some people might want a feature that they're not getting. Maybe you don't get an anti-reflective display. And you have a choice there. You either go with the Tab S10 Plus, because maybe you still want to get a little bit of a smaller tablet. The Tab S10 Plus is 12.4 inches in size. So maybe you would go with that tablet, or you just have to go with a non-anti-reflective display. Remember, if you're going to put a screen protector on anyway, that anti-reflective screen won't matter. You could also get an anti-reflective screen protector, and that would help you get a similar result. But those things are pretty hard to install. Overall, I'm not too bothered by that. I'm not too bothered by the S Pen. I know it's unfortunate. I'm probably going to just start throwing my S Pen in my bag and just zipping it up, and I'll probably forget about it sometimes. So there are some cons here, but this is a better processor, a brighter screen. It's a better tablet, and the software is so good. Galaxy AI always has all of these great AI features that are way more useful than Apple's AI features. So I love the tablet, I love the size and the portability of the Tab S11, and even the keyboard cover. We don't have a book cover keyboard that works for this, and the previous years of accessories will not work with the Tab S11. So that is a little unfortunate. And that's because there are pins on the back. Instead of the bottom of the tablet, they put the pins on the back this year. But if you look at it, there is going to be a book cover keyboard eventually, like a Pro keyboard that I heard is going to be coming out in the next few months. So that is really, really good, and it's something to look forward to. But as far as the slim keyboard cover, it is actually better than previous years, because on previous years I always had this weird bug where it would occasionally miss a keystroke, and there were certain words whenever I typed them in, and it would always miss the U in YOU, so I'm typing U over and over, and it would always seem to miss that last letter. It doesn't do that in this keyboard cover, and they seem to fix that bug in their most recent keyboards, so I am excited, and I do like this slim keyboard cover this year. It doesn't have a trackpad, of course. You can't adjust all the angles, but it connects in a really cool way. You just put it in and it just pops up that little keyboard connector right to the back of your tablet. And it works great, and it does keep the keyboard slim. And it is a little bit crammed compared to the Tab S11 Ultra keyboard, of course, or the Tab S10 Plus keyboard, but it is so much more portable. And that's really what you have to decide whenever you're looking at these tablets. Do you want something light and portable? Look at the screen size that you're wanting. Don't just buy a tablet because it's cheaper and then you really regret it because you wanted a larger screen size. If you want a really large screen size, the Tab S11 is not for you. And if you're loving your Tab S9 or your Tab S10 Plus or your Tab S10 Ultra, well, this device isn't for you either. Those devices are really good, and you don't need to upgrade every year. It's okay to hold on to what you have. The Tab S11 is a very good upgrade. upgrade, even though it's a minor one. So there are some drawbacks. There are some things that I could complain about, and I will mention, because some of you, rightly so, you should be able to voice your frustrations, and I do get that. But overall, it is still an improvement, and I do have to make that clear for those of you who are looking for the best smaller tablet on Android. I do think the S11 is the best tablet for those people. So if you are wanting a small, portable tablet that might have a little bit of a crammed keyboard compared to the bigger options, but it's so light, but it's also a powerhouse. You could connect it to a monitor, have Samsung DeX, 7 years of updates, a much brighter screen compared to previous years. This is a great option. I do still think the Tab S11 series is the best, and they are going to be the best tablets that you can find. And as for me, sometimes I want a huge tablet for media watching and for taking notes. And sometimes I just want that smaller, more portable option. Right now, I'm feeling a little more portable. I'm really liking that smaller option. So that's why the Tab S11 is for me. But what about you? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And please check those links in the description. That is a great way to support my channel. I'm going to have a lot more Galaxy Tab content coming up. I will be reviewing the Tab S11 Ultra, and I will also talk about the keyboard covers, and I'm going to be covering a lot with Android tablets. So thanks for bearing with me as I have a little bit of sickness here. Please give this video a like, give me a sub, that would mean a ton to my channel. And another thing you could do, if you get a little bit of time, one great thing to do is just check out some other content, because I talk about a lot of budget tablets, mid-range tablets. The Tab S11 might be one of the best out there, but maybe you want something that's a little bit cheaper, and I've got a lot of content for you. So I hope you have a great day, and no matter what you're going through in life, I hope you enjoy your week.